Imagine a typical middle-class living room in the 1990s. The father is on the sofa reading a newspaper, the mother is sitting next to him talking about her day, and the kids are on the floor playing. Everyone is physically and mentally present. Now, look at that same living room in 2025. The father is scrolling the news, the mother is streaming a show, the teenager is swiping through Instagram, and the toddler is completely absorbed in YouTube Shorts on a tablet. There are no conversations. They share the same physical room, but mentally they are isolated in separate digital worlds. This split bar chart compares the World Health Organization's recommended screen time against actual usage data from Ames Raipur. The WHO advises that for children under 2 years old, screen time should be exactly 0. Yet the data shows infants are averaging 1.2 hours daily, and children under 5 are staring at screens for over 2 hours a day. Many parents see a daplectos and assume a couple of hours of screen time is harmless. It feels like a highly convenient solution to buy some quiet time to finish work or get chores done. But that convenience triggers severe physical and psychological symptoms. Children are developing early-onset myopia, struggling with chronic insomnia, and suffering from intense withdrawal tantrums when the devices are taken away. A perfectly quiet toddler staring at a phone might look peaceful, but underneath, that child is experiencing a biological and developmental crisis. The content we hand our children seems entirely innocent. Shows like Cocomelon teach numbers, letters, and colors, but these programs operate as highly engineered digital systems built to deliver continuous hits of dopamine. The animators use extremely saturated colors and constant, unpredictable motion. Even when characters are standing still, they sway or bounce slightly. The scenes change rapidly every 2 to 3 seconds, creating an artificial state of hyperstimulation. This cross-section of the brain illustrates a dopamine loop. When a child watches this hyper-stimulating content, it continuously floods their reward system with dopamine. Because the brain is repeatedly flooded, it eventually gets used to that massive chemical rush. That baseline threshold pushes so high that the normal, slower-paced physical world becomes intolerably boring. The child loses focus and develops symptoms identical to ADHD. When you try to turn off the screen, the withdrawal is immediate and severe. Without baseline dopamine, children throw violent tantrums, scream, or even bang their heads against the wall. Chronic exposure rewires the brain's physical architecture, creating a biological dependency that overrides a child's ability to regulate their own behavior. That altered brain structure directly stunts language development. There is a common myth that playing cartoons will teach a toddler new vocabulary, but hearing a word from a speaker does not teach a child how to actually speak. Humans are deeply social learners. We require two-way interaction. A child needs to make a sound, see their parent react, and process that validation to understand how language works. Toddlers also subconsciously study our faces closely. They watch the precise, three-dimensional mechanical movements of a parent's lips, teeth, and tongue to map out how to form phonetics themselves. 2D screens strip all of this away. The animations have mismatched lip movements that don't align with real human anatomy. Worse, many popular characters, like Tom and Jerry, are entirely mute. When a child mimics characters communicating without words, they effectively train themselves to bypass speech. By practicing social isolation instead of interaction, they can lose the ability to form even basic sentences, a cluster of symptoms doctors are now labeling virtual autism. Screens do not teach children how to communicate. They train children to exist in an unresponsive, isolated vacuum. The damage moves from the brain straight into the body, beginning with the natural sleep cycle. This split diagram illustrates a comparison. A dark environment allows melatonin to flow naturally. Conversely, artificial blue light from an electronic screen physically blocks that sleep-inducing hormones pathway. For young children, this suppression effect is double that of an adult. Because these children are glued to screens indoors, their exposure to natural sunlight plummets. This lack of daylight is directly resulting in a global epidemic of childhood myopia, permanently damaging their distance vision. The physical toll extends to their diet. Using a tablet to force a kid to sit still during meals leads to mindless eating. They consume higher calories without realizing it, hold food in their mouths longer, and develop severe digestion and weight issues. By digitizing a child's entertainment, we inadvertently starve them of the physical environment their bodies required to grow properly. To reverse this damage, we have to reframe the core issue. A child is not addicted to a piece of glass. They are addicted to the validation, the attention, and the immediate reaction that the screen simulates. They turn to that simulation when they feel an emotional void in the real world, and that void often forms when parents themselves are perpetually distracted by their own devices during family time. The necessary medical intervention is strict, absolutely zero screen time for children under 2 years old, and extreme, heavily monitored moderation for older kids. But the behavioral role is even stricter. Parents must completely put away their own phones. Children learn exclusively through mimicry. If you stare at a screen all evening, they will too. You rebuild a child's executive functioning by replacing the screen with physical outdoor play. Give them puzzles, board games, or simply let them experience active boredom so they are forced to invent their own fun. Handing over a digital pacifier offers a fleeting illusion of peace, but securing a child's health and future requires enduring the chaotic, beautiful noise of real-world connection.